Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Struggling Hunters, episode 94. You got Eric over there in Colorado.
Hey, how's it going?
Trying to give you a little bit of screen time there. You got then me, Joe. I'm over here in Utah. Um, like I said, welcome to another episode. Trying to get in the swing of this podcast going today. If you haven't listened to us this far, this is your first time, we appreciate you tuning in. And if you have been listening to us, double appreciate you listening to us. It's I feel like we have some decent advice some days and some days we don't. And I think you can walk away with something and some days you won't. But no matter how you look at it, it's probably it is time well spent. And we do value your time. And we just appreciate you giving us a listen. And if you have been following along, we've been talking about an article out of about bow hunting elk, and last week was set up in front, meaning setting up in front of a tree or something. Don't you always get lost with your, I guess, trying to camouflage yourself, and you hide behind a bush, and then when the elk or whatever is coming in on you, you got to try to step around that bush to make a shot. So you're moving more than you have to, but if you sit up in front of the bush or the tree and just hold still, that's usually enough to hold still and move when the elk ain't looking at you. It's usually enough to be able to give you the opportunity to take the elk. So that was the last week's topic, and this week we're discussing hunting midday. And I guess with that, we'll kind of just dive right into today's talk or speech. What do we call these podcasts?
Yeah, I guess you could call it a podcast. Some days it's a podcast, some days it's a nightmare. But with that said though, well, yeah, let me just take it over. So doing hunt during the midday. This is something that I was kind of trained as a young guy from whenever we started hunting, hunting in the morning, hunting in the afternoon. And I think for deer, it's really well, let me take that back a little bit, because I think it holds a lot of value doing hunting in the morning, hunting in the afternoon. But the last couple years or so, we've been doing more hunting all day long kind of hunts, just trying to stay out there as long as we can. And uh, the way I guess I've kind of broke it down in my own way, and I think Joe kind of has too, is we only have so many days of hunting to do, so just work hard and just hunt all day long. So I try to get out there in the mornings and try to just stay out all day long if I can. Um, I know a couple years back when me and Joe were hunting together, I had my father-in-law with me, and while he was with us, we kind of went back to camp during the midday or whatever, but it worked out fine. Well, it didn't, I guess, because we didn't get nothing, um but I know most of the time whenever we're together, we try to just pretty much hunt all day. I mean, we might head back to camp to get a quick bite to eat and maybe come up with a new game plan, whatever it is, but try to just hunt all day long. The advantage to midday hunts and what the article kind of roughly talks about, and Joe can come in and cut me off at any point, but what it roughly talks about is when most people are going back to camp for their lunch or a nap or whatever their reason is for going back to camp is, sometimes the activity kind of kicks back up again, and you can get a a bull to a bull elk to jump back up and move around, maybe go get a drink at a watering hole or whatever. Um,
Right. Well, that was like the one thing I kind of liked that the article pointed out, that, you kind of see, I'm going to get all philosophical in a little bit, maybe go a little deep, or as deep as I can go, but, as I comprehend, I guess I should say. But there's always information that's out there, and you're always trying to interpret the information and that the how the elk live to better your odds of harvesting. And this article, I think one of the things that's trying to drive home is, one, like Eric was saying, we only get so many days to hunt, so you got to take advantage of that. And, you know yes, the elk maybe not be as active as you think during midday, but the article went in to say that, like, elk are going to rut through the night. And so, yeah, they're going to be tired in the morning. So they probably are trying to transition from where they're at to get to back to their bedroom in the morning when you're up. And so that's kind of, trying to comprehend that too, is, like, yeah, just because it's night and you're sleeping doesn't mean the elk are sleeping too. So the elk makes his way, and when you're heading out to go hunting, he's going to try to find bedtime, or find his bed and go lay down and put his harem to bed. And so he goes and lays down. I don't know what time really that's going to be, but being that the article is entitled "Hunt Midday," so he goes down and lays down and he gets rested up. Well, probably, how much he's worked up, it may not take him all that long to get rested. And then you go in there and find out, that this particular article said he likes to find a good water hole and go downwind and start bugling, which makes sense. So he's rested up and now he's filling his oats. He might have a little bit of a full belly, and now he's ready to go. And you come in there and say, "Hey, I'm trying to find you," or out, whatever you're saying to him, and he's ready to go. And so his batteries are charged. He's feeling good. And, I never really thought of it that way.
yeah.
Kind of looked at this article, which is kind of interesting.
Whenever I was hunting this last year during the rut, actually, almost every day I would hear it was kind of more like later morning, midday, I should say, but um I would hear like like one bugle. And most of the time what started it off was I'd hear like a cow call, and then I'd hear a bugle afterwards. And there's a few days that I tried to play it and I'd bugle. I never could get nothing going. Um, I don't know if I assumed that it was kind of a locator call, like, "Hey, I'm up here,
Oh,
get get up here," or whatever. Um, but I say that because it is kind of true. It was like midday almost every day. Um, I would hear that one cow call and a bugle,
right.
then it would kind of shut off. And then my last day, that's whenever I got into my activity last year, where I released my arrow and missed. Uh, but it was midday though. It was past the morning hunt and midday. And so yeah, there's definitely, anybody that might think that there's no activity in the middle of the day. There's activity, and the advantage kind of goes to you if you want to stay out there, um because most everybody else is back at camp, I mean. And so it kind of works out for you. And I'll say, I think especially public land hunting, obviously that's the thing, is you're just trying to play the games, and like you're almost trying to figure out what other people are doing, what their activity level is, so you can kind of dictate what your activity level is going to be. As far as, you know most of the time around 10, 11 o'clock, you start hearing four-wheelers and vehicles,
Right.
down through the canyons or whatever. um and it sounds like they're taking off to probably go back to camp or whatever the case may be. And I'm sure elk hear that, they hear the same thing, and they're like, everybody's gone. And
Right. Well,
time
like
to start moving. So I
another
mean,
way too to kind of look at that is like hunting midday, and you got to be in shape. But like where I'm getting at is it might take you till midday to get to where you even want to hunt. That's another way to look at it too. Like, yeah, you know, you're still getting up early, but you may not be getting into his bedroom till midday.
oh yeah, for the like how far you're walking or whatnot,
Yeah,
how
correct.
far,
How
how
deep?
deep you're getting in the woods.
Right.
And I try not to do it. Like there's a lot of emotions that go through a hunting season for me, and like full transparency. Um, the first couple days I'm just excited, raring to go, and uh, I mean I don't even pay attention to how what my fatigue level is or anything because I just want to go go go. But you know, day after day of disappointment and not seeing much or whatever the case may be, it starts to wear on you a little bit, and next thing you know, uh, fatigue starts kicking in or whatnot, and hunting the midday can work for you. If there's that one day that you're like, I just need a little bit of recovery time and sleep in for a few hours. I mean, the thing is I guess what I'm saying there is don't think that like your whole day is messed up because you slept in. Like just hunt that midday really hard
Right. Well,
and
and like the key thing there too is kind of how this article is saying is understanding where the elk are going to be. Like that's something that I'm still trying to comprehend myself. Like in the article it says the elk have been up all night, so he's trying to go find bedding. So now that turns into, okay, what does bedding look like?
yeah.
Well, if you some of the people out there you listen to, like Randy Newberg, like the elk like to be on 20, no less than or more high of a 25% grade on a north facing slope in the pines. So there's that whole different thing you got to comprehend to where to even look, because like I'll say, I'll admit it too, full transparency is that I still do it, but I'm trying to get better at it, and I feel like I am. But back in the day, like I just, oh, here's a hillside. It's probably, like for example, case in point, 3 years ago, I took off hiking down a south facing slope and about heat stroked myself climbing out of there. And so like what elk, and it's not like I was in the timber or nothing. I was in scrub oak, and it's like, what elk's really going to be in this area? And
Yeah.
and the whole time, and honestly, the whole time I was hiking, I can hear on the north facing slope an elk going off, an elk bugling. And it was far enough away from me that I was like, there's no way I'm getting over there.
Yeah, that's tough.
So,
That's
and the story is, what did I learn? That, well, this seems like the elk are on the north facing slopes. It's cooler, like this was midday. And I turned around and started coming out. And like I said, about heat stroked and gave up.
well, you kind of hit a few points on that too. Is trying to one of the hardest parts of hunting for your week or whatever. Well, so archery, I think most places in archery they give you almost a month, give or take. Uh, so archery is kind of nice for that reason because you have that time. But like for rifle seasons, especially in Colorado, I'm not sure. Utah's not too bad. They kind of give you a little bit of time, don't they?
About 9 days.
Oh, is it just 9 days for rifle?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's about what Colorado is too. But I know Idaho back in the day. I mean, it was like a month long for elk and month and a
Yeah.
half for deer. So it was nice because I mean you just had all that time, and the guys that did their homework or got really lucky would get their deer or elk in the first week,
Right.
and then but like the thing is that the opening day was maybe a pain because there was hunters everywhere, but then like through the season it kind of got less and less and less. I liked it, but it was also what I grew up with, so I guess I was used to it or whatever. Um but in Colorado and Utah and other places, they give you 9 days for an elk hunt. And it's like, man, you're sometimes 8 to 9 days, I should say, but you're hustling for that, trying to get the advantage and
Right. And
trying to,
that's like, gain that advantage, like you said, like these articles, uh, like we've been going over the last 2 months, Fred Bear's 10 Commandments and this one, like these 10 points for bow hunting elk, like there's things that they make some excellent points, and I think they'll make you successful. But just trying to incorporate them, changing yourself to rely on these points, they'll make you become successful. It's just rerouting your brain to understand that you got to change.
yeah. Well, the midday hunt, I mean, going back to the midday hunts, I want to say I heard that theory. I think me and you talked about it, or I might have even heard it from you, but it was either from Born and Raised or Hushin guys, one of the two. I can't remember, but I remember they're the ones that kind of brought it up in a hunting video or something about hunting midday. As a matter of fact, I want to say it was Hushin guys, because they said something about we've killed, or I saw them in a video, and they said we've killed most of our elk between 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock or something like that. And anyways, I say that because that's my whole life. It was always hunt morning time, hunt evening time.
Right.
And then, hearing that a couple years ago, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Why haven't I always hunted midday? So I know as a kid, I think some of that was driven home from like your mentors, my mentors.
Right.
Because as a kid, I was like, I love this hunting stuff. I just want to be out here hunting all day. But my uncle, my dad, my whoever was my mentor would be like, let's go back for the afternoon or whatever, and get back to camp. Or so then I got used to that, I just like, oh, this is how it works. But now I feel like the game has changed, and it's just work to try to hunt all day. I mean, the thing is if you're in a rifle hunt in these areas and you only got 9 days, it's worth trying to just hunt all day long anyway. And your day is shorter than archery. Archery gets kind of tiring because you're going from like what is it, like 7 or 6:30, 7 in the morning to like 8 o'clock at night or something like that. I mean, you're going
9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Yeah.
Yeah, archery gets a little tiring, but I love it though.
Right.
And I will say, like, I know that archery's gotten more popular, and every year there's more and more archers out there, but I don't think it's still quite as popular as rifle. Um, my sample size, well, there's, I, I say this, and then there's a couple things though. With archery, you don't hear the shots, right?
Right.
But I didn't really run into a lot of people during archery. But during my my deer hunt this last year, I mean, the shots that went off, it was crazy how many shots would go off throughout the day. But also the traffic though, there was a ton of traffic, and I was hunting in 2 different areas, so that might have been part of it. But I know, like, during my archery season, I just felt like I would see people here and there or whatever, but I didn't see, like, comparing to past rifle seasons, I didn't see people the way that I seen people during rifle season, which made me think, I'm like, well, I know archery is getting more popular, but I don't think it's quite as crowded as rifle season still to this day.
Right. Well, there's a big learning curve to rifle or to archery too. So as far as I feel like getting off the main trail, getting deeper in the woods, so it's you might be, I think there's more people doing it, but I don't know how much they're willing to to really get all that deep and really go out all that often too.
Yeah. Well, and
I don't know. I'm just blowing smoke. I'm trying to sound intelligent. I don't really have
well,
anything to back anything.
I I I I think that you have a point. I feel like a lot of people, I don't know. I mean, one of my secrets is not really a secret, but I try to go where it's kind of rougher country, thicker country. I don't see a lot of people back in there. I mean, it's just kind of the facts. Um, start getting closer to the road, all of a sudden you're seeing more people driving around, maybe seeing more people in the woods because you know, they're not too far away from the road. So yeah, I think a lot of people like to try to stay close to their vehicle, four wheeler, whatever. Um,
Right.
uh, which I mean, it makes sense why they would, but um, I do feel like the further out you get, the less people you run into, the less people pressure that you have.
Right.
And it might actually help because they're actually everybody that's over on the road, driving up and down the roads trying to find their success. They're actually helping push animals toward you in the middle of the woods to a
Right.
point. So um I don't know. It'd be nice if you could find that happy medium. I wish that wish there was enough room for to just have like a whole area to yourself or something, because
Yeah.
the this last year I'd be in a canyon or a draw. It was just amazing how long I could hear a four wheeler, and I'm like,
Right.
and I've said it before on this podcast, but those animals, they know exactly how, they know what's going on. Everything's been pretty dead and quiet for the whole summer or whatever, and then all of a sudden it sounds like a freeway up there. I mean, they're like, yeah, something's going on this week.
Right.
They probably, I'm sure they get a little more cautious and, you know, start getting harder to find.
True. Yeah. Well, yeah, they know when things change. They're not stupid. They want to survive too. They pay attention to the natural mother nature laws of predators, and then paying attention to man laws too of when more activity is prevalent.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe one day we'll buy a big old ranch or something.
One day.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're excused.
Um, well, with that said, I think we've kind of beat midday hunts
Yeah.
to death. But yeah, I think it's definitely a good hot tip though is midday hunts. I definitely believe in them. Um, I've had some success with midday hunts. So maybe not taking the animal, but
Seeing
definitely had a
activity.
little having some activity and
Yeah.
hearing activity in the midday. So I definitely believe in it. So I think it's a nice tip for number 9 on the hunting
Bow elk hunting tips.
yeah, bow hunting elk tips.
Yeah.
So with that said, I guess we can, is there any closers that you got?
No, I guess just closing, trying to remember to remember to trying to understand elk and their habits, and retaining these little nuggets that seem to come across hunting midday and finding those water holes and calling beneath those water holes. I think that's something to try to retain. And that's what I got.
Yeah, for sure. Well, those are some good ones, Joe.
Why, thank you.
Well, I have a couple closers, and you could jump in on any one of them. I've said it maybe a couple times on the podcast. I think I've said it before, but I'm a little bummed out this week. Old Tom Brady, uh, been a fan of his for, well, since, since he pretty much got in the league. And long story short, he's retiring. No more football for the guy. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's one of those things where it's hard to be like too bummed out about, because it's like, man, I've had the guy for probably 7, 8 more years than most other quarterbacks in
True.
the,
I was gonna say it's one of those things you got to watch. You got to grow up watching him play football, and then you got to watch football with him and your son.
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, you're exactly right. I got to be a fan of his before my boy, and then yeah, my boy is always like, oh, Tom Brady. You ask him who his favorite football player is, he's always like, oh, Tom Brady. So, which I think a lot of it was due to me. I think it was a little influenced on my side, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him to I just hope that he can afford life after football. I mean, it's probably gonna see some tough times,
Yeah,
and you know,
you might have to
uh
sell his yacht.
he might have to sell his yacht, and yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be rough for him, but um I don't know, getting to retire at 44, I can only imagine how tough that is. Um but no, all jokes aside, it's uh I guess the only thing that kind of is a bummer is I was hoping for more of a, like, yeah, this is my last year, but I could see where that would get a little get in the way of the sport, like,
Right. Everyone
um
asking questions on it.
yeah, that would be every game he'd probably have to answer a bunch of questions on it, and it probably would have affected his play. But hey, man, guy's been to, how many has it been to? 10
Oh,
10 Super
really?
Bowls, won 7 of them.
Huh.
Is that right? Yeah, I think so. 10 Super Bowls, won 7 of them. I mean, can't ask for a better career than that.
No, no.
So, so yeah, I don't know, man. It's been fun. It's been fun to watch his career and cheer for him. I was a little whenever he moved to Tampa, I was like, I don't know what to do, like, I'm a Patriot fan, but like, Brady's like, I mean, I've been cheering for this guy for 20 years or whatever, I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
what. And then I found myself just going for Tampa Bay, and I'm like, man, what is this? But it's been fun. It's been fun watching his career, and I just, yeah, it's good. I know it's time for him to retire and everything, but um man, he had such a good year this year, like, as far as
Oh,
stats
really?
go. Probably one of his better years. I don't know for sure what those numbers are, but he had like one of his better years, and I'm like, man, you're kind of retiring on top. Like, I mean, he was up for I don't know if he ended up getting MVP or not, but he was up for MVP.
Huh.
Um, so, I mean, yeah, 44 years old and still doing it. So I was kind of hoping he would at least do one more year, but it's in for him. So
Huh. Well, that's good, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah,
And it seems like he's still healthy too. Well, who knows really, but
yeah. Well, honestly, I think he's probably, for him, as a fan, it's probably, it kind of sucks to see him quit, but for him, uh, it's great. I mean, it's hard to say if there is maybe some injuries, or maybe the healing's taking a little longer to heal. I can only imagine. I mean, we go play football, play catch for a few rounds, and we're sore for like a week. I can only imagine what he feels like playing against professional athletes after a game.
right.
Uh, but or even like the first day of hunt season, you're like, oh man, should have worked out a little more this year. I've been there anyway.
Yeah.
Waking up the next morning, legs are all sore, and
Right.
But anyways, what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know, maybe, yeah, I think he quit pretty healthy. I mean, he's pretty good shape. That TB12 program that he kind of created, or him and his dude that created it together, or whatever. It's the whole health program. I don't know if you know much about it, Joe, but
No, I don't.
uh, anyways, I think that's what it really did help him make a longer career. But with anyways, point is sucks to see him go, but I'm happy for him, and yeah, on to better and bigger things, I guess. So that was kind of, I know that's outside of the hunting realm, but I like to throw in sports every once in a while and talk about that in the podcast. We don't do it all that often, but I like to throw it in every once in a while. And then as we were talking, and we were talking about midday and fatigue and everything, I wanted to bring this up. It kind of popped in my head. Um, I've been working out fairly consistency. Uh, anyways, I've been working out fairly consistent. Uh, well, pretty much since the beginning of the year, doing the whole resolution thing, I guess you could say. I tried to not look at it that way, but I got inspired after, I'm like, you know what, 2022 is my year. It's time to get after it. Anyways, I bring all that up because I've been working out pretty consistently, um but I haven't been really working on my diet too much. And so what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to trying to get an early start on getting in the best elk shape I can for this next coming hunt season and stuff. And so here after this week, I pretty much have about a 10-week program in front of me that I'm going to really work on my diet and everything. And I'll try to make updates about it and everything. But I just kind of started working out and not really worrying about the diet side so much. That was just my way. I mean, I probably should have, but the one thing is, whenever you're working out all the time and you're like, man, you know what? If I was on a better diet, I'd probably have a little more better results or quicker results. It kind of makes you want to get to that point, but I just didn't want to do both at the same time, start working out a lot and dieting at the same time, because try to change the world all in one day, usually give up the next day. So I just was trying to slowly kind of start them, start off with the working out and then work on the diet later. So
Right.
anyways, that's where I'm at right now. So like I said, I'll probably uh in the future be going over some of the results or how I feel or whatever, and especially whenever I start dialing in the diet, because I know, well, I guess it's been a little over a month or whatnot, or right at a month, I guess. And um I'm feeling pretty strong and feeling pretty good that way, but I could tell that, like, not really caring about my diet, I could feel better, I guess is what I'm
Right.
saying, if I had a better diet. So
Makes sense. You are
so
what you eat.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm just a donut. But anyways, that was my closer. I probably went on a little long about the working out, or probably dragged it out a little too long. But with that said, guys, thanks for listening to this point. We appreciate your support. Thank you so much. Um, with that said, guys, uh, like, subscribe, share, do the whole thing. This is the Struggling Hunters. We'll see you in the next one. We're out.
Bye.